all right. Lady Love, so good to have you in the house. We've got Adam Roa. So excited to have him here today. Turn your cameras on if you can so we can see your beautiful faces. We can get familiar with each other. I'm going to be letting people in the weight room here as I get going. So we are in day 2. Some of you have been showing up every day. If that's you, I acknowledge you. So good. Thank you for doing this work. We have so many more days to go, and this was one of those talks you are going to be so happy that you're here listening. Adam is someone who I've been a part of many of his programs, and a good friend of mine who just really understands the world on a very deep level. You're an amazing poet, Adam. I've shared so many of your poems as well that just really speak to humanity and being an artist. We are all walking pieces of art in our own right. And when I asked Adam if he would do it, he said yes, and I was very, very happy with that. And I said, what would you like to talk about? And he says, I want to talk about authenticity as currency in the age of AI. And I got chills because that is something that is so real right now. It's very present. It's something we're all dealing with right now, period. And so making sure we are who we are throughout that process and stay to the design that we are created as while we go through and navigate this is so important. So without further ado, here is Mr. Adam Roa. Thank you so much for being here. So yeah, we're going to open it up. And I think if you guys have questions, Adam, if you can let them know if they could ask questions throughout or if you want to keep them to the end. And I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you, Michelle. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. Thank you for having me. This is the only thing on my calendar for the entire year. So it feels very special. Not because I've suddenly fallen off the face of a cliff, but just because I'm taking space to be in my own authentic rebirthing process. I don't know what it's the weirdest thing. It feels like there's a part of me dying, but I don't know what it is, but I'm mourning the part of me that's dying. Can anyone relate to that? Like anyone? I'm just curious. Yeah. Um, and so I'm going to be speaking about authenticity in this age of AI. And uh, that's such a big topic. It really is, because how many of you are familiar with AI? How many of you are using it in some way, even if it's just ChatGPT or something similar? Okay, great. Um, and uh, Yeah, so I'm going to probably deliver something today that might be different than you think, because a lot of people know me online specifically. How many of you were familiar with me before this? Like you know some of my work? Okay, a lot of you don't. Amazing. So for some of you who are familiar with my work, I would say primarily I'm probably known for my artistry, my spoken word poetry. That's one of the most common things that people know me for. And so they're often very surprised with just how analytical my mind is and how much I love the wizardry of reality, and being able to coach clients has been something I've done for 13 years now, like the lovely Michelle here. And uh, today I want to give you more of that perspective and tie it into creativity, because creativity is ultimately the underlying force of creation, right? And so there's no escaping it. But I think that oftentimes people underestimate the importance of prioritizing creativity. And in today's day and age, we see schools that are removing um, the arts programs. They're removing a lot of those extracurriculars, and that is sending this signal that creativity is not that important. It's something that you do as a hobby, it's something you do in your free time. But I think that creativity is actually the only thing that's gonna I don't want to say, I don't like divisive language, but we are in a very nicely framed way of saying we are in a collective clusterfuck. That's what I like to call it. Okay. Right now, we are all collectively in I'm pretty sure that's the scientific word for it. We're in a collective clusterfuck. And so we're not quite sure what to do about that, but I do believe creativity is the answer. And I think in order for us to really uh, be creative, we need to understand authenticity, especially with AI, because for the very first time in our lives, we have the potential of outsourcing the entire creative process. AI allows us to entirely outsource the creative process. It can come up with the ideas, it can script it, write the captions, it could create the video, like it could literally do the whole thing. And uh, that puts us at a particular crossroads that I don't think we've ever been at before. And so today, I'm going to talk about authenticity, but in order for us to talk about authenticity, we must first define it. This is the thing that really bothers me about a lot of what we see on social media and coaches and influencers out there is that you are being sold from all these videos, you are being sold these ideas of abundance and the importance of integration and how to stay in alignment and the importance of authenticity, but no one actually defines that for you. No one really says, what does that mean practically? And so that's what we're going to dive into first is how do we be authentic? But first, before I do that, because this is a space for women, and I feel like I couldn't be authentic without embarrassing and honoring my mother, who is on this call right now. I gotta do it. Ma, I love you. I'm proud of you. Look at you just continuing to expand and grow and learn. She's probably not going to admit which one she is, but I'm just going to say, I love you, Ma. I see you. And yeah, thanks for being a part of this. It adds an interesting level of pressure. It's like, oh, my mom's here. It's got to be extra, extra special. So love you, Ma. Um, all right. Yeah, and thank you to all the women. Thank you to all of you women and the one who put up with me for all of this time, but for all of you who literally without you we have no one. So just deeply, deeply appreciate each and every one of you um, for that. Okay, authenticity. What is it? I'm going to give you my definition of authenticity, and then we're going to break it down into its parts. Okay, so if you're taking notes, write this down. Authenticity is your current consciousness expressed honestly through your physiology. I'm going to say that one more time. And if someone wants to type that in the chat, your current consciousness expressed honestly through your physiology. Okay. So let's break that down into its parts. The first component, we say honesty, right? Expressed honestly. So that means it needs to be honest. I think that that's pretty obvious. To be truthful, right? Can you be authentic if you're not being truthful? If you're telling a lie? No. Okay. No arguments there. And yes, to Michelle's point, if you guys have questions, just uh, either raise your digital hand or type it in the chat and we'll just make sure that we're following along. I'm pretty good at doing check-ins along the way, and we will have a Q&A at the very end as well. So um, yeah, being authentic. And so that's why I opened up and I told you I'm in this process. There's a part of me that's dying. I literally have not posted on social media at all this whole year. And I just can't. Every time I sit down to make a post, I just can't do it. I don't know why. And it just feels like I would be lying to post anything right now. And so, um, yeah, I wanted to open that because I think a lot of us are feeling that right now. But that's just honesty. I'm being honest about that. If I'm not being honest, I'm not being authentic. That's pretty self-explanatory. But let's now talk about another component of the definition, which is honestly through your physiology. So your physiology, what do we mean by your physiology? Your physiology is your somatic experience, which is the sum total of your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. So your mind, your body, and your heart. So even though your thoughts are a cognitive process, they have a physiological response. In fact, most of the time, what you're feeling or what you're thinking is not what you notice first. What you actually notice first is what you're feeling physically, somatically in your body. When you're feeling angry, a lot of people don't even know that they're angry, but they feel their heart rate rising. They feel themselves getting hot, right? And so there's a physiological aspect to our emotions and our thoughts. That's why I say your physiology, but I want to make sure that you understand what I mean by your physiology is literally the somatic expression of your body, which is the sum total of what you are thinking and feeling and experiencing. Okay. And so, um, to give you an example of what I mean, if you are feeling angry at someone, right? So if I'm angry at Michelle and Michelle shows up and I'm like, "Hey Michelle, it's so great to see you. I'm so happy to see you." Is that authentic? No, not authentic. Most people would agree that's not an authentic expression. So what I'm feeling, if I'm not expressing that honestly, okay, then inauthentic. And then if we look at thinking something, if I'm thinking to myself, oh man, Michelle, she looks exhausted. Wow. Oh my gosh. And she shows up and I'm like, Michelle, you look great. You look amazing. You look like $1,000,000. You're just so shiny and glowing. But inside my head, I'm like, she needs to sleep for like 52 weeks. Then again, inauthentic, right? That's an inauthenticity. So we can start to see that what we are, the truth of what we are feeling, if we're not expressing the truth of that, then we are being inauthentic. And I want to make a distinction here because this is really important. To be authentic doesn't mean you have to have compulsive honesty. You don't have to, there's a difference between being authentic and being expressed, right? You don't have to express your honesty in order for it to be authentic. But I'll give you an example. Let's say that I am feeling very tired and I come on a call like this and I pretend to have energy. I artificially pump myself up. Is that authentic? It's not authentic. It might be effective, but it's not authentic. A more authentic way of doing this is going, okay, I'm feeling exhausted. I'm going to get on this call. What is something I can do to help me with the energy? That might be, let me get like really high energy music playing, right? Or Meg, yeah, Meg, bless me up. Bless me up, right? Like that would be an example of something I would do to help me with my energy. But I would only do those things if I was being authentic in my own inner truth about what I was feeling, right? If I'm faking that I have energy, I'm not thinking, well, let me utilize all these other tools. I have to be honest about the fact that I'm low energy in order to even have the thought, let me bring in these tools. Does that make sense? Yeah. Hey, Bossy, it's good to see you. And so um, now we have honesty, right? Honestly through your physiology. Okay. So the other component, do I have any questions? Do I have any questions so far? Making sense? Okay. The third piece is your current consciousness. Your current consciousness. So let's define consciousness because, again, this is one of those things that everybody likes to talk about and no one defines. Your current consciousness is the sum total of all the patterns that you can recognize. Your current consciousness is the sum total of all the patterns that you can recognize in reality. So let's say, what does that mean, right? Patterns of information. And that information for a little child, they learn, for example, wow, I get this feeling in my belly. And then I make all this crying sounds, and then I get fed. And then when language starts to come in and we understand, or maybe sign language, when I do this sign, I get fed. Or when I say hungry or food or whatever, I get fed, right? And we learn this feeling in our stomach means hunger. And if I eat something, that feeling goes away. That's an example of a pattern. A slightly more complex pattern that you can notice is, wow, I grew up in an environment in which I did not see um, physical affection demonstrated for me, and therefore I didn't associate physical affection as a love language of importance. And that caused me to shy away from physical affection, or to feel like it was a sign of weakness, or cause me to have intimacy issues, or whatever these things might be, right? And so we can start to see the complexity of a pattern from how we were raised in childhood to how we behaved when we were teenagers, to the type of relationships we attracted in our young adulthood, to the stories we created about ourselves, to the way we feel about ourselves today. Then you have an ayahuasca experience and you suddenly see something, it opens up your mind, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have this new piece of information. And that new information has revealed an entirely new set of patterns that I never could see before. And we just basically say, wow, my consciousness just expanded. But all we're actually talking about is consciousness being synonymous to awareness, to become aware of what was previously unconscious. Another way of saying that for the woo-woo, it was in the shadow. Previously, what existed in the shadow is brought into the light of awareness. It exists in the light of awareness to be conscious. So that is your current consciousness, the sum total of the patterns that you can see in this moment. So based off of what I've even given you today, the idea is that that new data you've received probably opens up some new patterns that you may see. Okay? So we're constantly evolving in this way. Everyone following me? Okay. So let's go to this next step. One second. I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm in Austin, Texas, and there's cedar season here. And I have cedar fever right now, and I've been sneezing every 5 minutes. God. Okay. I'm all right. Thank you. Bless your beautiful lives. So, so the expression of current consciousness, that's really you, right? Because it is the total of what you know, how you know it, the lessons you learned, the trauma that you've felt, what you've been through, all your little quirks and pieces. That's your current consciousness, okay? Now, to express, let's break it into two pieces, right? Because some people will argue, well, can't you be authentic by expressing honestly through your physiology without it needing to be your current consciousness? Well, what is that? If you remove one of those parts, if you express honestly through your physiology, but it's not your current consciousness, meaning it's not something that you know or have learned, what do we call that? We call that acting. That's acting. And there's a lot of types of actors. There's news anchors, there's television reporters, there are politicians, there are influencers selling shit on Instagram. There's like a lot of different types of acting. People can be acting in their relationships. They're going, how do I act like the good wife or good husband or the good Christian boy? You know, like you can act the part and not know it, not believe it, not have it be a part of you. We call that acting. And here's the funny thing. The goal of an actor is to be as authentic as possible, right? But the possibility is actually capped because you can only be an authentic actor. You are authentic within the container of a fake scenario where you are a character or you are playing yourself inside of constructed thing, but it's never actually, it's like the Russian dolls, right? It's a little bubble inside of reality. You're not being authentic in the greatest reality that you can. You're being authentic within a small bubble that is not fully authentic. Make sense? So if it is not your current consciousness expressed, and you're just expressing honestly through your physiology, you're feeling the anger, but you're playing a character, that is acting, right? And we would say that to express your current consciousness, but not do it honestly through your physiology, we would call that inauthenticity, or lying potentially, right? Pretending, suppressing. There's a lot of ways that we could describe that. Okay. So now you understand, to be truly authentic, like at the highest level, it's honesty through your physiology with something that is your current consciousness, meaning what you know, right? Everyone following that? And I see a question by Joanna here. What if we master our nervous system? Yeah, uh, I guess I don't understand the question. Do you want to unmute and just ask?
So, hi
Hi.
everyone. Well, the question is, what if like my authenticity is because I can master my emotions, I let them go through my body. However, through all the breath work that I've been doing, like everything I can do, and I'm such a calm person, I let this emotion go through me. And I don't let emotion, like I am so conscious, like I don't want to, I don't want to be cocky, but I am so conscious of what is happening physiologically to my body that I can just like move like next to it and not let it take control over me. But I'm not acting. It's just like I don't get upset. I get upset for I do feel that, but I don't let it take over, if it makes sense.
Yeah. So you move the emotion, but like
Is it?
once the anger moves through you, you land in some other place, and in that place you can be authentic about that moment. And
Yeah.
then another wave of something comes through, and you can be authentic in that moment. Like the truth, the honesty of your physiology is an in the moment experience. You can't be honest through your physiology of something that was 5 minutes ago. I can only ever be honest of the present moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, and Michelle is an actress, a very talented actress. So she knows the truth of this. When you're really in a moment, and some of you may not know, I used to act in Los Angeles as well. When you're really in it, some of the most authentic things are the ones that surprise you. Where you go, oh, I thought my character would get angry in this moment, but then suddenly there was sadness that emerged out of nowhere. Like that's the truth of the experience. And as an actor, the best moments are to let that express honestly. And the director's like, where did that come from? I didn't even see that coming. It's amazing. And so again, but that's still acting. Now, when we do that in our real lives, that's authenticity at the highest level. Now, um, so AI, right? That's what I wanted to bring it back to. AI can help me act or be authentic. There's a potential for either here. So if AI is giving me the script, so to speak, all the time, then all I can ever do is act because I don't know it. It's never embodied. It's never actually my consciousness. All I ever am doing is acting. That's the best I could get to. Express it honestly through my physiology, but it's not mine. It's not my consciousness. And so that would be acting. Or AI can help me know it as a first step, and AI could then help me express it as a second step. But understanding that difference is everything. And I'm going to go now into uh, I'm going to go into it a little bit so you can understand what I mean. And I think that to understand the difference, we need to define learning something. Like, let's break it down. What does it mean to actually learn something, to know something? In order for you to know something, it means you are able to recall it when you need it. Simple definition, right? Like if you know something, you're able to recall it when you need it. If you can't recall it, it went in one ear and out the other, or you forgot it, which means you don't know it anymore. And maybe you did know it at one point. But if in the moment you can't recall it, you do not know it. Fair? Any arguments towards this? No? I love a good argument. I led a group last year called Wizard School where I did this exact thing for so many areas of life. Like, what is personal development? How do we actually transform? Well, let's break it down into literally the fundamentals of every piece so we truly get it. I think most people are operating surface level. So when we're talking about how to be authentic, let's really get there. And guess what? This path of how to be authentic suddenly brings us into the exploration. What does it mean to actually learn something? How do I know something? Okay. I have to be able to recall it. What are we actually recalling? We say it's information. Okay, I need to be able to recall information. What is information truly? Information is a series of electrical signals in your brain, a very specific neurological pathway in your brain. That is what information is stored as in your brain. And so when you say I am recalling something, I am actually accessing a very specific neural pathway in my mind, right? And so to learn something is to create new neural pathways in the mind. To integrate it is to keep accessing it, and to embody it is to make that now unconscious, where it's really just muscle memory. It exists there in your mind. You've used that neural pathway enough, right? In order to do that, we have to re-access it, which means, for example, with a talk like this, you guys could be nodding your head all you want, but unless you go back and review this in some capacity over the coming weeks, it'll probably forget. You'll be like, what was that definition that Adam gave about authenticity? You won't know it until you've integrated it and then probably used it in some way. Andrew Huberman's done a bunch of work around this, and he says the single most important thing that you can do to increase your learning is to actually review what you learned for even 5 minutes. After this call is done, literally just go back through your notes and just go, okay, what was that? Repeat it out loud. That right there will increase your learning far more than anything else that you could possibly do. Okay, so you're recalling these new neural pathways, okay? And there's two ways to create new neural pathways, and they're very different. And this is the crux of this AI conversation, okay? The first is what you guys are doing right now, or you ladies are doing right now. There are no guys. You ladies are doing right now, which is you are receiving new patterns. That is learning. That is studying. That is receiving. You are receiving new patterns from someone or something else. You can do this from AI. Okay? AI can do this for you. You can learn from AI. It's great for that. Except remember that it hallucinates. So it might tell you some things that aren't actually true. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful about that one. And so the effectiveness of AI in helping humanity learn by receiving new patterns is incredible. It's incredible. But there's another side to this coin that I think is incredibly important, which is that the other way that you make new neural pathways is creativity. And creativity is the process of putting together patterns that you've never put together before. That's my definition. I'm going to start an Adam Roa dictionary where all the just definitions, but the process of putting together patterns that you've never put together before, that's creativity. Okay. And when I'm writing a poem, I am literally putting together patterns of words that I've never put together before. A musician is putting together patterns of sounds they've never put together before. Painters, patterns of shapes, colors, textures, right? That is creativity. Dancers, patterns of movements. Even just designing your business as an entrepreneur is a creative process. You are putting together patterns of products and content and information, all of it that you've never put together before. That's it. And so what's interesting about this is that when we enter into the creative process, because your consciousness is unique, the patterns that you innovate are going to be entirely unique, meaning they have never existed before and they will never exist again. When you think about that, when you when you go to write a poem, your poem will be entirely unique. No one will have ever written it before. And even if you somehow manage to get 90% of the words similar, the meaning will be completely different. Because the meaning of every word means something different to you. Every single one of you will have heard me give the exact same words, but you will have all received something entirely unique. Your relationship to a word like love means something entirely different than the person next to you. Michelle, give me your first. I want everyone right now in your mind. I want you to think about the first three words that pop into your head. Don't overthink it. I want the first three instinctual. Don't say it. Don't share it. The first three words that come up when you hear the word love. Michelle, what are your three words?
Infinite. I don't want to think. Infinite, warm, caring.
Infinite, warm, and caring. Did anyone have those exact same three words? No. I've done this in audiences of hundreds, and I've done it many times. No one ever has the same three words. Maybe they get one. So that means when I say love, if I do a love poem, I could do a whole talk on love. My new poetry book is called Crazy Love. It comes out in May. You should get a copy. But every time I say the word love, all of you are receiving something different. And so the uniqueness of your consciousness when you step into a creative process means you are putting together patterns in an entirely new way. And that means when you express that pattern, you are expressing something that has never actually been expressed before. And this is where I think we are at the crux of the AI conversation, because if we outsource the creative process, we are actually outsourcing the expansion of human consciousness. We have now become a species that is only on the receiving end of the patterns put together by technology, which means that the growth of our own consciousness is literally inside of the bubble of technology. Every pattern that we start to put together and create is based off of the patterns we have received from technology. This is where we are no longer innovating, we're simply recycling. And so the importance in this age of AI, more than anything, is for us humans we can learn from AI, but then we need to go and innovate and create, step into the intentional process of putting together new patterns that we are not receiving from anyone else, that we are self-generating. That is the only way that we as humans continue to evolve and stretch our human collective consciousness. That's the only way that you, Anita or Jessica or Ashley, that is the only way that you actually continue to make sure that your consciousness is not just the patterns you are receiving, but it is you innovating and creating your own unique patterns, which is why you're here. That is your part in the tapestry of humanity. Because no one has ever been able to do what you are able to do, and no one will be ever able to create the patterns that you can create. And the expression of that, when it is combined with your own artistry, your own desires, your own authenticity, will express itself in a way that allows other people to receive patterns entirely differently, but receive it in a very human way. Something that's very unique. And this is where I could give an entirely new keynote all about the power of art and expression. But I'm going to finish this before our Q&A with a poem, which I think will highlight exactly what I've been talking about. And this is the most probably, I don't know if it's still true, but it might be. This is the most current performance piece of poetry that I've written. I wrote it a few months ago. As part of this death process that I shared that I was in. And I call this poem Where Paper Meets Pen. Everyone take a nice deep inhale. Exhale. We're going to do one more and we're going to shake on it. Inhale. And a shake. Exhale. I miss the person I used to be. The one that inspired creativity in others who saw themselves in me and opened up doors of possibility. I miss the man who used to make sense of the world through rhymes, hidden meanings, and metaphors. The one who looked at a blank page like the lost lover he'd been searching for. The one who knew more was available. Not because he knew more, but because he remained available to whispers in the wind and rhythm in the trees, knowing no one could see what he sees, so he wrote. To share what he saw, he wrote and he wrote and he wrote. His life only made sense when the ink was in flow. No time to overthink, only speak from the soul. That's a version of me that I used to know. But I'm not that man anymore. Life doesn't seem the same as before. Wind is just wind and trees don't dance anymore. Metaphors are now hidden. Meanings aren't that deep. Why is it now I only dream when I sleep? I guess nobody taught me imagination needs nurturing, or that a version of me could actually leave, or what to do when I see that's the version I actually need. The one that breathes poetry and inspires creativity. The one who sees the blank page as infinite possibility. Where did he go, that other version of me? I want you to know, other version of me, that you can come home because this version of me will give you the throne, not another version of me. But if you have grown some aversion to me, I hope that you see some reversion in me, inversion, conversion of who I can be, and you'll start reversing your diversion and you'll come home to me. Because together this life becomes poetry. But I just read what I wrote and I saw flow in me. So who was it that spoke? Do I know it's me? It sounds more like, no. Could it be? Was it always that simple? Were you always right there? All I had to do was sit in this chair and write and write and write and write morning and night when I went searching for you in the rhythm of trees and the whispers of wind. You were always right here where paper meets pen. With the place I never looked because I didn't know how to begin, but the irony I see now is it never really ends. The connection to you remains permanent. It's a lesson I knew, but I'm still learning it. From moment to moment, from poet to poem, this life will keep flowing. The muse will keep going. And if I write it in rhyme over time, I can show them that each new version of me is just a sign that I'm growing. And each new version of me is just as worthy of knowing, which means this current version of me is worthy of knowing, which I didn't believe when I thought you had left. In fact, I only wrote this because I was desperate, which means the wisdom I gained only came through right now when I picked up a pen and I chose to sit down, searching for you and the words that came out and seeing I'm actually happy with this version I found. Nice deep breath. Exhale. Okay. So anyway, AI wrote that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. My
May
the
I
thing is,
chime in for a second before
yeah, yeah.
AI? Adam, that was so beautiful. Thank you. I should have known better to say journal, pen, and tissue for any of your calls. That was so that hit every word, and you feel it just makes sense. Like that is a living body of authenticity spoken through sound and through you that we can hear, because it's one thing to try to intellectualize everything you're saying, but getting to actually somatically hear it through the poetry was a whole nother experience. And as women, experiencing things somatically helps it integrate into our bodies. I don't know if y'all feel that. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. I just want to acknowledge that that was a really beautiful poem.
No, thank you, Michelle. Yeah. And I think what I wanted to exemplify is I opened up this call by sharing that I've been dying and rebirthing, and I don't know what chapter I'm in. And there's a certain level of, yeah, I agree. And then when you hear my authentic expression at the edge of my consciousness, expressed honestly through my physiology, when I wrote that, I cried writing that. To write a line that says, I miss the person I used to be, I was crying from the beginning. And I want you to feel the difference of me telling you that I'm going through a process versus me sharing my consciousness and creativity in the way that I just did. There's a huge difference. And so, yes, I get that, and I don't want to downplay that. Again, I was an actor in Los Angeles. I've been practicing this a long time. There's a lot that goes into being able to deliver it. But what my point is, I'm trying to make is that you can learn from AI, but AI will never be able to innovate your consciousness through creating the new neural pathways in an entirely unique way. And so you doing that is the piece that I hope you will not outsource. Not because it's convenient, not like the reason for you to create and maintain your sovereignty of creation is because it is literally how your consciousness has the opportunity to expand uniquely. And so that is so needed in today's day and age. It's going to be so needed and it's going to stand out. There's going to be a texture to it that I think as more and more AI is being put out into the world, the texture of human is going to be something that we become more attuned to. And that means it's going to be currency. People are going to seek it out. Not for everything and not for everyone. There's going to be the people who put the Neuralink in their brains who don't give a shit. But then there's going to be those of us who still want our feet in the grass and our face in the sun that are going to get very clear about that texture of human soul, human consciousness woven in it. And I'm not anti-AI. Before this call, I'm playing around with making my poetry into AI music right now. I'm playing around with all kinds of stuff and being careful not to outsource my consciousness. So that's what I got for you today, and we'll use the remainder of the time for Q&A, but I hope that this landed and I hope you felt it deep in your heart and soul. This is the only talk I have scheduled for the year, so I hope it was a good one.
Thank you, Adam. That was so beautiful. Literally, oh, we have Clarissa with a question too. I'll let her jump on in a sec. Literally, like Adam was speaking on TEDx stages last year. He's taking a break right now, but like this guy's got some really good information, as you can hear. And oh no, I got a thumbs down. Give a thumbs up. And you know, I'm so honored that we get to hear from you and learn from you. This has been really cool. Clarissa, I'm going to let you on here.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everybody. Hey, Adam.
Hi.
Up. I got to meet you for the first time at Mudwater when you were there. I think it was last year, maybe the year
Yeah.
before, actually, 2 years ago. Oh my gosh. Last year was crazy. And then I met you last year, fire year, it was a crazy time in my life after the LA fires. Anyway, all that being said, it's great to see you. It's great to be with you all. It's great to see you again, Adam. And I wanted to, you were just talking about AI, and my relationship to technology has been such that, like, when Facebook started and all of that, I was living abroad. I lived in New Zealand, and I loved it because it was the best way to keep in touch with my family in the States and abroad. And I saw it and used it as that. But I also, at the same time, had this internal skepticism as I watched how it was affecting the social construct of life and shaping it. And so I always had this like aversion over the years of like just seeing how it was essentially becoming this like other field, that was like people were feeding into and feeding from, and that sort of filter or frame or living, breathing organism was like taking on a life of its own. And I always wanted to just stay to like the purity of humanity, like beyond the creating the projected fields like through screen and technology, but obviously seeing the benefit that we can bridge and connect in real time as well. All that again being said, because now I find myself in 2026 where I really have lived my life on such a like an analog level with regards to all of that. Like I don't even really use AI. Um, I don't know. It's almost kind of like I've dug my feet into the ground, like my heels into the earth, and I'm just like, I don't want to conform to this shit.
So
But it's
what's the
also like I'm like finding myself like, oh my God, I'm getting left in the dust. Like,
well, what is the question around it, Clarissa?
so I don't know what to do with that. Like, I I don't know. I guess I feel so overwhelmed by all of it. Like I'm getting hot just thinking about it because I'm like, oh, I don't know how to like I don't know how to do life, I feel like sometimes with all of this. And I'm just like, do you have any advice about, I don't know, like how did you continue to develop your personal path, and how you, like you said, you're using AI. Like how have you chosen to weave
technology and social media and all of this. And then I also would love, I don't know if there's time, but like the whole TED Talk thing, I would love to have a TED Talk of my own at some point. So any like guidance that you can offer for that would be awesome.
Yeah, so let's address the TED Talk thing's very simple. Like, um, just be very clear what the message is that you want, be putting it out into the world, and then you can be reaching out to the TEDx like organizers. There's a lot of them out there, and that's the process. I was approached to do it, and so for
Yeah.
me, it's sort of like I was putting out content for 12 years before someone
This
finally
year, we opened two
like. So I put it out for 12 years of content
new
before someone
restaurants
approached me
while
to do a
running
TEDx
how many?
talk.
5 others.
Five other.
What's going on? You guys
I think
hearing
that is,
that?
yeah. So then my that's the TEDx thing. I don't have like a hack for that. But then the next part is I think it's very interesting because ultimately, and I'm not calling you out for this, this is just the reality of the situation, right? I'm digging my feet in the ground at AI while we're on a Zoom call and you're next to a fire inside of a temperature controlled home that, do you
Fire is symbolic for me in my life right now. Like I've survived the fires. Like
totally.
you
And so
know,
my point is that everything around you is technology.
totally.
And so literally at one point in time, glasses
Just flew
and
from
different
like
things.
the closest tree to my house is like pretty far. Like the winds blew this tree during your talk, like from that tree all the way over there. It la literally landed right here. Like
Amazing.
it flew all the way. It was so cool, and it looks like a palm of a hand, kind of, doesn't it? I don't know. Or
Yeah,
like
so I think that is an example of you're holding a leaf while you're on Zoom. Like it's
technology. I
it's
see this
it's
as
the
technology
merging
too.
it's the merging of the two that I think is important. And I want everybody to understand that at the end of the day, we all draw a line. You know what I mean? We're going to say, hey, I don't like right now, I don't want Neuralink implanted into my head. Right? That's a line that I currently have. Maybe I changed it at some point, but it's not what I want. And I definitely think that um, technology itself is all around us. And so do not differentiate AI as being something entirely different. I just personally look at it as just an expanding technological thing. And at some point in time, what has happened in the past, social media being a great example. Without social media, we're not all here. And if I've said anything today or from this summit, if you've gotten something that's going to impact your life in a positive way, then social media has played a major role in you having a better life. Now, with that said, it expanded so fast that we didn't have the understanding of what it would do for depression, anxiety, social disconnection, comparison, all of these things. And so we were too late to understand that. But I don't think that we're too late to be proactive in trying to interact with AI in a way that's healthy for us. We've understood that digital technologies, if we're not careful, can really fuck us up. So, as you start to use AI, if you have the type of awareness that I'm trying to share with you, and you can find different places, you can start to go, okay, what are the guardrails about this? How do I use it in a way that's amplifying what it means to be human? And for me, what it means to be human is to create. That's what it means to me, to be in the expansion of my own unique consciousness through innovating my patterns and neurological electrical signals myself. And that means I need to learn things and receive, but it also needs to, I need to create and express. And as long as AI is helping me in that cycle, I feel like I'm expanding. But the moment that I get lazy and I'm like, oh, it's way easier for me to just be like, hey, give me 10 ideas for this. Okay, I like that idea. Write a newsletter for it. Okay, let's turn that into a YouTube script. Okay, let me do you know what I mean? Like I've suddenly completely outsourced it. And so I think, Clarissa, ultimately to your question, you will have your own line, but you are using technology. And so the ways in which you interact with technology are ultimately at the core of it.
For sure. I'm interested in just the final thought, or, just in you mentioned you're using music for AI music.
Mhm.
What do you use?
Suno right now.
Suno?
Suno. Yep.
I haven't explored any of those, so I'm curious. Because
Yeah.
I love music.
I only started 4 days ago.
Cool. Yeah, my daughter started taking harp lessons with Zunaida after that last circle.
Ah,
Yeah. So, but she
beautiful.
just moved to Texas, so I'm heartbroken. Both my daughter and I are heartbroken about that. But it is what it is. Such is life.
Thank you. Well,
Keeping
thank
it
you,
going.
Clarissa, for your
Yeah.
question. It's been beautiful to reconnect. I think we have time for one more question if anyone has anything. No? Great. Okay. I was super thorough. Joanna?
Hey. Okay, so I have a question. So I feel like the if you are not gonna use technology, you're gonna be like there will be people who will. And I have this feeling like because I love the creative process. I also love poetry since I was a child. Like I'm in the books my whole life. And I feel that, and I feel how it's moving. And I love also technology. So I'm kind of in contradiction. However, I'm afraid that we're going to be left out, kind of like the world is moving forward. It's like there will be people who will use it and they will get better. It's like people who are making businesses and they're gonna be faster with it. They're gonna develop things faster than we do. And that's the thing that how to stay true to yourself and not be left out because the world is so fast in it. And I don't want to be slow because I'm slower than my AI, definitely. I get to things slower. My ideas, they are beautiful, of course they are, but I don't want to be like really really behind everybody else. So how to be still authentic but not be left out in the race of the AI world.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's hopefully my whole talk helped you get some differentiation around that, and it's going to be something that needs exploration, right? Like for me to write a poem, let's just say, for me to write a poem, there's a feeling of that creative process. And I have that feeling right now when I utilize um, AI to help me with music. I'm still using my lyrics. I'm still using my sound. I know how to play the guitar. I know how to produce, so I'm able to interface with it in a different way. Um, but I also know what it is to just literally have it do everything for me and not put myself into it. There's a different
But why
feeling.
wouldn't you use like I'm sorry for interrupting. Why wouldn't you use like the like friends who are musicians? Why wouldn't you still be truth to like being a human and to being like like a pure magic and pure a pure gift because that's what we are. We creative souls. Why
Yeah,
would we put
so
it to the hands
no,
of
I totally get it. What I want to express is a couple things. The one reason why I'm not using my friends is because the amount of time it would take to gather all of the friends around and then do that, and then it's not even my like when it's, hey, I'm getting four friends together that are very talented at all these different instruments, and then I'm giving them the words, and they're all going to do exactly what I say and try it in the ways that I want to. It's a whole different thing to try and do that. First of all, it reduces the cost because I could hire musicians to sit around all day and do that. But AI and technology typically just reduce time and cost. Third is because, again, I think that what you're saying is the uniqueness of human. Well, why not get your musician friends? Okay, but a guitar is technology. A piano is technology. At one point in time, those didn't exist. So when you say, hey, why don't you get your humans over to use technology to create some music? And I'm going, well, I am using technology to create some music. It's a line. And I am not saying one is better than the other in any way. For those who want to, like, there are people who still record on vinyl, want to make vinyl records, right? And it's making a comeback. But understand that this same thing happened when everybody filmed movies on 8 millimeter and then digital came around. And you had directors that basically said, fuck the digital camera people. We need to shoot film on film. And eventually those people got left behind, and it's a novelty when that happens. Same thing's true with all of the people who had regular cameras and you had to actually get them done in a dark room. And now you can take a million digital ones, pick your best one and put it into some filters. I love playing with filters on photos. When I take photos with my iPhone, I take 10 of them and I pick the best one. Like, we've adapted in these ways. And I think that we have to be very careful to not idealize our own timeline when the reality of the situation is you've already adopted technology in certain ways. And so to not adopt AI technology, I agree with you, Joanna. I think you will get left behind, but learning how to utilize it in a way that fulfills you, that's the real conversation. The same way that people have figured out how to take digital photos and still make it an artistic expression.
Okay. Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
question. And Ma, it's the end. I don't have time. What do you got to say? Come on.
I love you and I'm proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Ma. Love you too. See you soon. I'm gonna go visit her in a couple weeks.
Aw.
Did you have a question? It was just that. Oh, thanks, Ma. Um, the last thing that I want to say is people ask me, so I have a free gift for you. For those of you who are in that place where you don't know what the next step is and you're kind of figuring out your purpose or whatever, I actually have something I've designed called Soul Scavenger Hunt. It is 60 minutes. It takes about an hour, and it's designed to help you see your next step. Just there's clues. That's why I see it says a scavenger hunt. I think the universe is leaving us clues through our curiosity and things from our past. And sometimes we're so busy looking at the future, we don't see the clues that are right around us. And so it's a 60-minute PDF process that you can go through to help you identify your next step. So that's free for anyone who wants it. For those of you who want to sign up to be on the waiting list for my upcoming book, it is called Crazy Love. It's a series of actual journal entries that I never thought anyone would ever read, but I've taken some of those along with my poetry, around love and relationships. And that's coming out in May. And we're going to be doing a bunch of really cool um, digital events and summits similar to this for people who pre-order the book. So if you want to get access to like workshops on dating or conscious relationship, that sort of stuff, that's going to be what you get when you pre-order the book. So just make sure you're on the wait list. And last but not least, you can always just reach out to me if there's any way that I can support. I do one-on-one coaching, and I mean, I used to, an old version of me did. So we'll see. And that's it. That's what I got. Michelle, what do you got?
Thank you, Adam. Thank you. The authenticity has been such a pivotal word that we keep coming back to throughout this whole summit. So hearing it from the lens that you described it made so much sense and I think is extremely helpful. Thank you for this talk. Thank you for your poetry. Ladies, I put links in the chat there. So if you haven't looked, so I have Adam's, the scavenger hunt there, the free one he just talked about. Make sure you click it now. Don't forget, because I know when we get off here, we forget. So write it, click it now. And then I also have the pre-order too for his crazy love. It is not often that someone puts themselves on a platter like this and literally tells you the truth at this deep of a level. And I think like it's just beautiful that that is put in a book. I'm curious to see what's in this book, Adam. But you've never held back. And I'll even name too, you know, before jumping on, Adam and I had a little cry session. I was the one crying right before jumping on the summit in full authenticity because I'm a little stressed out. I'm having so much fun and it's so much work. And I'm also going through my own thing. And so, you know, being able to be seen and talk to each other and meet each other where we were exactly before the call, before jumping in today was just really refreshing. So yeah, thank you for meeting me in that way today. Yeah. And then also, so ladies who are on here, this is, if this is the first time you're jumping on, we've been going. This is day 4 of a beautiful breathwork and women's health summit. We still have like, what does that mean? We have 6 more delicious days to go. Every morning we've been doing breathwork for half an hour / 45 minutes because I don't know how to do half hours. And then every day we have an amazing speaker. And tomorrow we have Danny Frederick who will be doing vocal activation. So as women, we've been taught to silence ourselves a lot. And this is a really beautiful way to find that authenticity, back to that word, in our own voices, which doesn't have to sound like perfection. It can literally just be sound coming out of the mouth. She is amazing. So you don't want to miss that. That's tomorrow at 11 a.m. So I'm going to put a link right now in the chat. If you haven't already signed up for the full summit, or you must have actually to be on this call, but if you didn't check out what else is going on, there's so much delicious things and different ways to support you guys in different ways like Adam has today. So thank you all once again. Thank you, Adam, for being here. And we'll have a replay available as well if you want to watch this again and take some more notes. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam. Hi, Adam's mom. Thank you for being here. I love when family shows up. Bye,
Hi,
Vicky.
everyone.
Yes, bye, Jamie. Thank you, Tyne, Demet, Alice, Valerie, Caroline, everyone that's in here, Clarissa, Joanna. All right, y'all. See ya, Andrea. We'll see you soon. See you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. PST. Let's go.